Hi everyone and welcome to Riskologists. This podcast is brought to you by Optimise and hosted by me, Pat Bradshaw.
And me, Nicola Boyle. Optimise are thrilled to host this podcast series where we'll be speaking with some of risk management's most respected and esteemed thought leaders from across the UK and beyond.
Throughout Season 3, we'll be exploring our guest journey within risk management, as well as exploring key conversations and topics around the overarching theme of the season being the future of risk management.
Our goal is to create a platform in which ideas and thoughts can be shared in order to inspire and educate our audience, and to ultimately give back to the risk management community across the world.
So without further ado, let's get into it.
Welcome back to another episode of Riskologists. I'm your host, Nicola Boyle.
Hi everyone, and I'm Pat Bradshaw, and today we're absolutely delighted to be joined by Chiara Simonetti. Chiara, thanks for coming on.
Hi, thank you for having me. Thank you for having me today.
Our pleasure. How are you feeling? Have you done anything like this before?
No, this is the first time. So a little anxious, but it's cool. I'm going to speak about something that I like, so it's good.
Nice. Well, don't worry, we're not going to grill you. So. Have you done any public speaking or anything like that before?
Yeah. I've been in multiple presentations. I actually like to teach. So I've done lesson learned or lunch learned in the past. So nothing new, but podcast never. This is the first time.
Nice. It's interesting, actually. We've had a few people who've been sort of really well versed in public speaking in front of huge rooms of people, and then they've come on the podcast and said they felt a little bit more anxious about doing this than being stood in front of a room full of people.
I'm not sure. We'll see how it goes.
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. I mean, it is a bit unnatural having a microphone in your face.
Yeah, because when you're in your public speaking, you look at people and it comes a little natural, but here is I don't know, but I think it will be good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you're coming in live from Saudi Arabia, is it? Where
Yes, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. I've moved here 4 months ago. However, I've been in the region since 2013. I was in Qatar before. Do you want me to introduce myself?
No, it's okay. I can jump into that. Yeah. So I was just going to say, just interested. Well, the reason I was bringing it up is because it was actually our good friend and multiple guest Donna, who's who recommended that you go on the podcast. So and obviously she's based in Saudi as well. So yeah, I think that sort of teases up nicely as a bit of a journey to date, really, Chiara. So you can be as in depth or as vague as you like, but yeah, it'd be really interesting to understand sort of how you got into the profession and sort of a little bit of a timeline leading you to this very point recording today.
Yeah. So I'm currently working for one of the development company in Saudi Arabia that is involved in the 2030 vision, and we are in the construction industry. I joined just recently, 4 months ago. So my background is civil engineering. I graduated back in 2009, and I started straight as a designer, but it wasn't my thing. And so when an opportunity to join a PMC company came through, I decided to go for it. And so I was introduced into project management consulting, and I was exposed for the first time to data. Speaking about program planning, risk assessment, quality analysis, quantitative and qualitative at the same time. So I really loved it. So I stick to the PMC contracting for around 3 years, and then I was offered a job in Qatar. It was a consultancy contract for the Ministry of Transportation. At the back in time, we are speaking about 2013, they were prepping for the World Cup that was up in 2022. So they had to put together the entire master plan because the World Cup in Qatar was very peculiar because everything was inside a very small country, actually a very small city. So road infrastructure needed to be uplifted, the stadium needed to be constructed, and there was a lot to come all together. So I moved to Qatar. Honestly, when they told me, do you want to come to Qatar? I was like, where is it? I don't even know. And I actually went to Google to check where Qatar was. But I was really willing to move abroad. So I joined. And it was a great opportunity because I was exposed to a very blended and international group of people. The contract was led by an American professor, so very, America compared to Italian, we are a mess. American company are very structured, very data driven. So I was exposed again to a lot of data driven decision making. And some of my colleagues were already into machine learning. So they were doing this fantastic predictive analytics, and they were able to extract information for a large quantity of data. And I got like, oh, really? I really want to learn to do that. So in 2019, I went for a master in business analytics and big data with a specialization in machine learning. So I learned about it, and I really decided that this is what I wanted to do. So I moved from pure construction into tech. So I moved to Amazon for a year. I have to be honest, being in the Middle East, going back to North Europe, where sun is out 2 days a week, or maybe never, was not really my thing. So I decided to come back to Qatar. And I joined a telco operator. So again, I maintain myself in the tech industry, and I have been leading a ERP implementation, cloud ERP implementation. And a few months ago, I got offered a job back in Saudi Arabia. So the reason why I decided to come back to construction, because I'm back in construction, is because Saudi Arabia has a very specific vision on implementing artificial intelligence in the country. They are investing massively in data center, in artificial intelligence development, and they're actually pushing all the development company to introduce artificial intelligence in their current operations. So together with Red Sea Global, that is my current company, I am in governance, but I joined, and then since I had this background and this experience, they kind of asked me to lead a couple of digital transformation. And now we are working on deploying few artificial intelligence solutions in our operation. Some of them are touching risk assessment. This is why I work together with Donna, and we discuss this a lot, because definitely these solutions will disrupt the current construction industry, but it's a disruption because the construction industry has been always left kind of behind. We are the last entering digital transformation, digitalization, and advanced technology. So it's going to be a disruption. It's going to be a good disruption.
Yeah. Wow, what a journey! What did you do at school and stuff, if you don't mind me asking, in university?
I was a civil engineer, and I actually specialized in asphalt. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And out of interest, in terms of, I know obviously you said that you've pivoted towards construction because of the way that Saudi Arabia approaches artificial intelligence and stuff. Did you think that was the path that your career was going to take? Naturally, obviously, people who have very similar skill set to yours, who sort of quite technical and dealing data analytics and stuff, the sort of world's your oyster, because obviously there's data in every industry. But I guess I'm just wondering if it hadn't been for that sort of
actually,
how Saudi Arabia approach AI, if you think you would have ended up here.
Actually, I took a very data-driven decision, because I was in the telco industry, and as you may know, telco industry is very advanced.
Yeah.
So there is some disruption to do, but not as much as the construction industry. So when they reached out to me, I thought this is a very good opportunity for me to really pilot some implementation, because there is not much happening. So for my career and the growth that I can have here is definitely the right industry to be, and I have the right background at the same time.
Yeah. No, that's really interesting. Like you say, it's I won't preempt some of the questions we'll ask today in terms of maybe some of the challenges and obviously the opportunity for growth and driving the construction industry in the right direction. Yeah, we really hear if it's been as easy and as exciting as you would have hoped, but we can touch on that shortly.
Yeah.
Cool. So obviously, people who are familiar with the podcast will know that this is the future of risk management, the theme for the season. We have touched on AI a couple of times. So scaling back to episode 1 with Alan Mosca,
yes,
we touched quite heavily on AI and on sort of how that interfaces with the heavy industries and stuff and what the future might look like. I can't remember exactly what episode it was, but with Matt Livingstone, we did sort of practical applications of AI. So I think from our perspective, it's naturally something that was going to be covered quite thoroughly in season 3 around the future of risk management. I think I know the answer because it's something that you're really passionate about. But of all the things that you could have chosen, why was it AI and the construction industry? Is it because of that real sort of passion and that's sort of your bread and butter really? Was there anything else at play that sort of you opted for this?
So I got passionate about machine learning because I love the idea of being able to get insight from data. So, and when we're speaking about data, it's not that we're speaking about Excel sheet, we're speaking about massive amount of data. So it is really cool to be able to get even historical data and see how performance was in the past and predict the future. So the idea of predicting the future and to being able to empower your insights is something that always really intrigued me the most. And I'm always been into technology, so I'm a geek by definition. Construction is my background, and as I mentioned before, is more about the fact that I really want to understand why the construction industry has always been at the back of the pack, and it will be interesting. So I'm doing some analysis also I have connected with companies that are more advanced than the one that are in, for example, in this region. And the challenges are more or less all the same across industries. However, some industries have been able to tackle them better than others, and construction has not been able to tackle them at all.
Yeah.
So, but now we are in a situation, forget about AI for a moment, but there are some solutions, like, for example, behind the BIM models that are now largely used across the construction industry. Is a technology that is becoming essential, but again, some of the construction companies are still not there in terms of their capacity. So there is so long of a journey to go for, and this is an incredible opportunity to be there, collect data, and also help in the future other construction company to embrace the journey.
Yeah, of course. Just before we get stuck into it then, thanks, Chiara, in terms of the difference in how construction and AI and things are tackled in the Middle East versus Italy, for example, where you've worked at, do you notice any sort of real tangible differences?
So the difference is, and this is across all the industry, is the level of investment. So in the construction industry, technology have been not embraced in the past because it's sometimes an investment that is not seen bringing any improvements. So if you already are within strict budget, you will not invest in technology. You're like, okay, we will continue as we do. We don't want to go into this change because when it comes to bringing a technology into your organization, is not only implementing the technology. You need to change the organization to be ready to embrace the technology. You need to upskill your people, train your people. You need to implement the solution. Now, artificial intelligence is a solution that comes out of the shelf, so relatively easy to implement, but yet you need to practically train all your workforce. And do a maturity assessment within the organization to see if you have the correct data, the structured data, because once again, this is something that I say often when I do lunch and learn. As anything, artificial intelligence is trash in, trash out. So he says most of the technology transformation, they fail because of data. So if you don't have enough data, quality data, you won't be able to implement any of this. So sometimes introducing technology also means that you need to do a lot of homework to prep yourself. So your technology stack, your data, your people, and then the solution comes into place, and then you need to stabilize the solution, keep training, and then most of the solution now are on the cloud. That means that you will need to go on continuous update. So you need to have a dedicated team to look after the upgrades, because the system will keep going and growing over the years. So it's a lot of money to invest.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't see this happening a lot in Europe, because looking at Italy, most of the construction companies are working with very limited budget. So they will not go for such a kind of investment. While in the Middle East, they want to, because they want to also attract and become the best in this industry. So there's a lot of investment happening, while in the rest of Europe, it's not happening. In United States is doing better, although still the construction industry is not as advanced as other industries.
Yeah, I think the level of investment piece, like you say, isn't just investment in money, but one of the things that Elon Musk touched on was that the biggest thing for it to be implemented properly is time. I saw a really interesting sort of analogy on LinkedIn the other day. It was like a picture of a bar of soap, and someone had stuck like a hand pump from like a hand pump on a like a liquid soap thing. And they were like, this is the equivalent of whacking AI or fancy technology on an organization that isn't mature already, or the quality of it isn't there. So, and they expect it to just work, and it's never going to be the case.
This is something that I repeat often, is organizations should not go for a technology just for the sake of implementing a technology, to have it on your website. It's essential to do a maturity assessment, because sometimes maybe you're not mature enough and the investment is not worth to go for. And since in the construction industry, artificial intelligence is not a requirement, doesn't make sense for some companies to go for it. But again, maturity assessment is essential. And when I'm speaking about maturity assessment, is a 360. So you need to look at your people, your leadership, your technology stack, your data, and then you see if you're ready or not to go for it.
Yeah, of course.
And the recommendation is always go for a pilot. The smaller the better. Go for a minimum of a pilot, identify KPIs so you can benchmark and compare, and then you can potentially go for a larger scale. But even in the region here, big companies that they have budget for it, everyone goes just for a pilot. You don't go full blown, because full blown will fail.
Yeah, no, makes sense. So just starting off then, so how is AI currently being used in risk management and construction today? And then what sort of practical applications have you seen on your real job sites?
So my general statement that artificial intelligence needs to be seen as a solution to help you solve a complex problem. So it's your very smart assistant. So in Giga project, as the one that we are having in KSA, that a massive project, very complex project, artificial intelligence is generally used to ingest the program plan, the BIM model, cost, and resource allocation, as well as, for example, construction methodology. This application, they ingest all this information, and they're able to assess your current risk. So considering your program plan and all the information, which are the risks you are incurring in terms of time delays, cost overrun, resource constraint, construction constraint, health and safety risk. And then this kind of solution will help you say, okay, these are your risks. How do you want to mitigate them? And then it will provide you with what if scenarios to see, okay, as a risk manager, I cannot, no one wants to touch health and safety, of course, is priority. For example, I don't want to delay after this time because you have maybe a commitment with the government, or our budget needs to be limited within this range. So you get an initial analysis that is very vast, and then as a risk manager, you look at all these elements, and you're able to run very quickly what if scenarios. So for a risk manager right now, artificial intelligence is an opportunity to ingest very complex information, because BIM model of complex construction project is something that is even difficult to read. And then you get all the information together, and the artificial intelligence model is able to guide you on smaller, more digestible problems that you as a human, you can decide upon. So this is what artificial intelligence is doing now in the construction industry. Replying to your second question, we are running couple of pilots together with other development companies. So, and we started with relatively small projects, small sub-projects to see how this solution works and if they do make sense to our risk assessors. Because again, artificial intelligence is good, is great, but you really always need to benchmark with reality to ensure that they are reading correctly the data and at the same time they're giving you correct information to move forward. Yeah. But decision making remains with human beings.
Yeah, that makes sense. Do you see it more in large scale or small scale firms?
So I would say large scales just because of the investment that you need to do. But again, most of the companies, and these are recommendations that comes also from like the strategic powerhouses, is to start with a pilot. So you choose something small and then you analyze and you scale it up. Of course, then you will have your own priorities. Some projects are more important than others. So what I'm involved with, it's more, we piloted a couple of solutions and we are seeing the results. We do benchmarking and we decide on leadership, okay, we go full blown.
Yeah. Do you ever find, I assume it probably is the case, but for example, in risk management, quantitative risk analysis is obviously a very powerful tool, but it isn't always the best course of action for an organization that is relatively immature or they don't have much data or they don't have quality data. So that might be an instance where a risk manager worth their salt would say it's probably not the best course of action to start here. Do you find yourself ever in that situation with organizations or even projects where they want to adopt AI, but it's probably not the first rung in the ladder to do that? You don't want to run before you can walk.
Yeah, this is something that I mentioned before. Having good quality data is a prerequisite. And when it comes to construction, you need to have a very good structured BIM model. You need to have a program plan that has the same structure of the BIM model, because categorization and metadata is essential to put into a model. So everything needs to be correlated. So it's essential to run a maturity assessment to see where the data is and what is the quality of the data. And then if the quality of the data is not there, instead of investing on an AI solution, organizations should invest on improving the quality of the data. So you bring on board, or you have your own people, data scientists that will look into where the data is stored, how to unify a database. For example, in the organization now, we are doing an exercise of moving data from different technology stack into a unified database. Mm-hmm. And generally, this kind of data transformation exercises takes very long to reach the level that you need to bring in an artificial intelligence solution that is actually valuable to you.
Yeah. How do you find the reaction of organization projects when you deliver a message that you're not quite ready for this yet? Do they feel like
they don't like it because most of the organization want to label themselves like digital transformation AI because now it's the buzzword. But then when you go back and say, wait a minute, you're not ready, your data is not there, and this is the journey you need to go for, and your people are not, they don't have the current skill set to even use the tool properly, then it's becoming a change management exercise rather than an artificial intelligence exercise. So it is not easy, but I think the idea of doing a maturity assessment is becoming more common because even typical consultancy company, they advertise the kind of, okay, we come to you, we do a maturity assessment, and then we'll develop a roadmap. And after, in parallel, we can work and develop AI strategies. So when you are ready, then you have already identified what is the solution you want to go for, and then you go for it. But you need to get ready for it. Yeah. And as I told you, majority of transformation projects, technology transformation projects, fail for two reasons: change management and data, quality of data.
Yeah.
Across all industries, it's not just construction, it's everywhere. And this is why construction is always behind, because there is our way of working is very fragmented, and we are the idea of having a unified database across solution like Primavera P6, Aconex, or any other solution that you have is very uncommon.
Yeah, it's quite interesting, isn't it, really, when you look at probably the track record of projects, particularly in the UK, and their ability to deliver to original baseline cost and schedule. And you think, to be fair, construction is probably, well, I might be quite naive and say it's probably one of the more data-rich sectors. Well, that would be my assumption anyway. You think there'd be quite a lot to reference class, but maybe it's just either the quality of the data isn't, it's not there, that it might be there en masse, but the quality is not there right away to use it for that purpose or to get the best out of it. And then you think the opportunity, that paired with the opportunity to really turn the tide of the delivery of projects, you think that it would sort of be like real low-hanging fruit?
I mean, yes, so there is a lot of data across, but having a lot of data doesn't mean that you have the quality of data that you need to use it for an artificial intelligence solution. Yeah. I have noticed that BIM model, because BIM model is becoming the core, even in the region where there is a lot of investment, still quality of BIM model is really bad. So the problem is in the construction is that there is data, but it's fragmented across. And when it comes to quality of data, you need to have a program plan that is speaking to the BIM model, a BIM model that has all the cost labeling connected to it, resources allocation connected to it. You need to have identified all your construction processes or construction typical phases. It's very uncommon to find this in a unique basket. It's everywhere. So you need to spend time to categorize the data, put them together in a way that a model can read from it, from beginning to end. So while I agree with you, there is a lot of data, the construction industry by definition has never spent time to put this all together. And again, data transformation exercises are painful and long.
Yeah. I feel like probably similar to when you're preparing for QRA. I'd say 90% of the effort is cleansing the data and making sure that the data.
Look, I've been in a ERP implementation recently, and we were moving from an in-house ERP implementation to a cloud ERP implementation. So we expect the data to be good, and it was a nightmare. So even the structured data to structured data it's difficult.
No, of course.
Yeah. So just moving on then. So what sort of specific ways is AI enhancing risk management in the construction industry? And then sort of how is it improving the outcomes just beyond like sort of workplace safety?
So first of all, is being able to read this amount of data all together and get the insight out of it, but also the opportunity for the risk assessor to ask questions and get the relevant reply based on the analysis that is run. So it's mostly is time. So you generally to do what if scenarios or replan. Sometimes it takes weeks. Now you can take few hours for the plan to run. So ideally, it helps the risk assessor to come up with risk mitigation quicker and to present to leadership quicker, and also to take better decisions overall.
Have you got any sort of particular success story or case study that you can think of in relation?
Yeah, so we recently we have rolled out a computer vision solution in one of our construction sites. So it's cool. So it's we use CCTV camera inside our construction site that look at progress of construction, and the data. So the computer vision is able to compare picture week by week and analyze the percentage of progress on site. And this data is brought back to the program plan that is automatically updated. Yeah. So the program plan updates with the actual site progress. Yeah. And also the computer vision is also able to see if there are risks special, in this case specifically health related risk or construction related risks. So it's able to go back to the risk assessor and send an alarm and saying, you need to look at this now because this is happening now. So we have implemented this solution in one of our skyscraper construction projects. And this is working really well. But again, in that case also we had to integrate the solution with the BIM model to be able to compare progress over time. And we spent a lot of time to put together the BIM model at the quality and details that we needed to integrate with the computer vision solution. So this is going well. Of course, it works in relatively simple construction sites. So a skyscraper, is modular, is the same across. When it comes to other kind of projects that are more like railway, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. So it kind of application is kind of case by case.
Yeah. Do you find those sort of solutions, those real sort of tangible benefits are really at the heart of changing people's minds or people that may have once been sort of skeptical? Or again, we'll probably touch on the is AI going to take my job piece in a couple of moments. But do you find that those sort of live solutions and tangible wins, have you seen people
yes,
my heads turn and go, right, okay, this actually is really worth its salt?
So this solution was good because we rely on, when we go to construction we look at construction progress, we have generally civil engineers, so architects that go on site and say, okay, this is more or less the percentage progress, while with computer vision is very precise. So data is extremely precise. It's not subject to an individual interpretation. So what you get out of there is quality of data. And also the ability to kind of recognize deviation from the program plan very quickly, because it's, the CCTV camera is on, or it's almost real-time data. So what you get out of it is quality data, really precise data, and information almost real-time. Did the team liked it? No. The engineer was like, I don't trust it. I want to go on site. I want to see it myself. So still there is a lot of change management to do. Like for what I was trying to explain to the team is like, let the computer vision do the analysis of the data, and then you are on your desk, so you don't risk your health and safety into a construction site. Then you look at the data and you say, okay, this is good, not good, and you prepare your own report. Yeah. Still, the change management connected to it is far away from being there, but we need to change people culture slowly. Yeah. But this doesn't mean that we are replacing work. We are just making sure the data is more accurate. In very messy construction site, it can help reduce health related issues or risks. Yeah. So it's good, but yeah.
Yeah. No, love that. I think that sort of leads quite nicely onto the next question I was going to ask in terms of the role that construction professionals play in ensuring that the AI-based risk approach is more effective. And naturally, you're always going to have blockers and cultural issues where people are a little bit resistant and stuff. How much of a role do you think the project and the construction professionals play in taking that leap and trusting it versus the toss-up of the role that people such as yourself need to have in evidencing that this is something that you should trust because of X, Y, and Z. So I probably didn't word that very well, but I guess what do you think the toss-up is at the moment between someone in your role who's very passionate about it, believes in it, it's producing tangible results, versus somebody who may or may not be convinced by it, and there's sort of that you've got to meet in the middle a little bit. You've got to sort of understand where they're coming from, but they should also sort of be a little bit more open-minded as well.
So I think the artificial intelligence will support data analysis, but then when it comes to final decision making, stakeholder engagement and discussion will still sit with the risk manager and the stakeholder. What I'm trying to convince my organization is that sometimes we risk manager go to stakeholder like project director, planner, to discuss risks, and the risk manager generally tend to be challenged because they're saying, no, that's not the case. It's not going to happen. AI will empower the risk manager with data-driven information. So you go there, you say, okay, let's discuss this risk. And if you don't believe in it, I can give you the data. And this is the data. So let's find a solution. So it's actually an empowering tool because often the risk manager challenge saying, you don't know how we operate, our program plan is different, our cost is different. AI will give all the information like next to you. You will have a 360 view of what's going on site. So you will be able to be stronger in that kind of discussion, convince the stakeholder better.
Yeah. And like you say, it comes down to that trust piece, and that's
exactly.
With time. Out of interest, is there sort of an objective measure in which a tool, an objective measure in which is used to measure the quality or the quality of the data, in terms of, naturally when we do it, it's sort of still relatively subjective. The quality of our data is very much based on how much we've interrogated and prod and poked it and how much diversity of thought it's had. Is from a data perspective, with the data that you interface with, is there like an objective measure that
Yes, actually in the pilot that we are running for, as I told you, for the AI solution that is analyzing the what if scenario on the program plan, what we have done, we've done an exercise where we have run a similar exercise by hand. So I put together a team of experts and we look at the BIM model, the program plan, the cost constraint, the resources, and we have, based on people experience, I'm not experienced, but people experience, we have identified the risk that should come out from this assessment are 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we'll benchmark against human analysis. Of course, the model will bring more risks because it's able to put together way more volume of data, but more or less the major risk should be aligned. So every time we go for a pilot, we do identify benchmarking, because if not, you will never know is good or not.
Yeah.
And you don't, again, trash in, trash out, but also sometimes you have good data and the result is crap. So you need to know if it's crap or not.
Yeah, no. Love that.
Makes sense. So for companies thinking about implementing AI, how do they prepare the workforce to adapt and embrace these technologies?
So that's tough. So first of all, as I told you, the company needs to identify, okay, what's my artificial intelligence strategy? What is the solution that I want to bring into the organization? Then when you have identified such kind of solution, you need to assess your own people and understand what is the skill set gap. Almost all construction company will need to go for a heavy training program. So you need to upskill your own people, because even planners and risk assessors that used to deal with data, still the application of artificial intelligence is a little bit further than that. So you need to really train your own people. And sometimes, some cases, you cannot upskill. So some resources you will need to give them a different kind of job. The one that you can upskill, then they will grow with you. And an organization need to focus also on change management, because as soon as you bring into a new technology, if you don't have leadership with you, so if it's a top-down kind of approach and you don't communicate properly the why are you doing this, and you train the people, you bring them along the journey, you will end up failing by definition. Because if you develop technology and nobody is adopting that, then you have invest money for nothing. Yeah. So it's a combination of, you need to identify your own strategy, you need to assess your maturity, and then you need to come up with a very solid change management and training plan.
Is that the responsibility of the organization?
Yes, leadership.
Yeah,
the leadership. I'm speaking C level, because if it's not a top down, rarely transformation of such kind will work. And it's essential to explain employees why. Why are we doing this? What is the benefit for the organization? What is the benefit for me, Chiara? What I'm getting out of it? So change management is communication, training. It's a lot. This is why I'm saying in Europe, it's a lot of money to invest. So it's not only technology itself. So not all the organizations have that kind of opportunity. While in this region, especially in Saudi Arabia, they want to go for it. They're actually pushing the organization to go for it.
Yeah. No, interesting. Okay, cool. So in terms of AI taking a little bit of a bigger role in risk management, and again, I think we sort of covered this a little bit in Matt Livingstone's episode, in how the sort of ethical standpoint is being managed. What are the biggest sort of ethical concerns from your perspective that you've encountered, or not necessarily encountered, but think may may have encountered and potentially being managed now, or things that you think might be more vulnerable to in the future?
So, I've been involved in pilots where our scope is always very well defined, very limited. And when it comes to ethical issues, it's more about, it is essential that you define your benchmark. So you're able to assess if the results of the implementation is within your expectation, or is going out of is really providing information that is out of the expected results. As long as the data is controlled, there is not much risk. And once again, this application, they don't replace not yet human decision making. So at the end, the final decision on results are still sitting with human beings. So as long as you define your data, so you make sure you don't expose the security or sensitive data to the model, and you control the model and the expected results, you can manage. It's not a big risk.
Yeah.
Of course, when you open solution to employees, like you roll out a generative AI solution, and then you allow employees to use it for any kind of activities or work, you will never know if, are they copying all my data on the internet, or is this work is a result of their own work, or it's just a machine that is doing that. So the key here is control. You need to control.
Yeah. I think when I think of the word ethical and AI in the same sentence, my imagination runs away with me and thinks about things like Terminator. And have you seen the Silicon Valley before?
No.
Have you not? Right. Okay.
No.
It's basically about this group of friends in Silicon Valley in San Francisco who create a compression algorithm, and they're sort of going all the way through this series, and then right at the end, they spot in the algorithm that the AI has added some of its own points, or like a comma or something like that, and then he has to destroy it because he's terrified that it's getting too intelligent. So yeah, I think again that was more the avenue you touched with Matt, really.
But just to let you know, the AI that is going to replace human decision making is far from now. Like at the moment, we are not yet as close as you think. Like there is this concept that AI is sentient and he has emotion. I mean, it happened in some cases in the past, but artificial intelligence solutions that will replace human thinking are not there yet. Okay, so there are decades to go. Now it's all about what's called supervised learning, where you know the input and you know the output. So, generative AI is great, but generative AI still works based on input. It's not just going by, it's not a robot that will do crazy things. So, and at the moment, in Europe, we are lucky enough where regulation is pretty strong. So they have imposed some controls. And now in the United States, it's going a little bit in a different direction. But in the construction industry, all the solutions out of the shelf you see are all very well controlled.
Yeah. Whilst we're on sort of misconceptions about AI and stuff, is there any other sort of common misconceptions that people have about artificial intelligence that really really wind you up, or really sort of
Yeah, no, really what really makes me mad is that a lot of people speak about artificial intelligence without knowing what this is about. So this is why I'm doing a lot lunch and learn, and I'm showing like what is artificial intelligence, what is machine learning, what is generative. So it's there is a lot of teaching to be done. So I'm citing someone, but you need to think about artificial intelligence, at least the solution that we are speaking about in this podcast, as a kind of optimizer or a machine that will help you to solve very complex problems. So it's an assistant. So what you will see now in the upcoming year, most of the company will launch what is called agents. So artificial intelligence agents are small program where you ask them to do an exercise repeatedly, and they will do it for you. So it's still just an assistant that you do control, because you control input and you will be able to see the output. It's not an uncontrolled scenario. So yeah, it's not something that will take on over our jobs. No, it's a really an advanced assistant. And while in the construction industry there is not much done yet, so there is not a lot of benchmarking to say, wow, this is really an improvement. What artificial intelligence is doing in other industries, such healthcare, pharmaceutical, that is impressive, something that human mind will never be able to do in years. So we need to look at also positive sides, not only the negatives. But what I'm keep telling people is that instead of being scared of artificial intelligence, learn about it, because it's not going to replace our jobs, but if we don't embrace it and learn how to use it for our day-to-day jobs, we are going to be obsolete. Yeah. And this is applicable to any other technology solution that came into place, like the World Wide Net, and then Microsoft, Excel, Outlook. If you don't, like a few years ago, if you didn't know how to use the Office package, you wouldn't find any job. In the near future, if you are not able to use artificial intelligence solution to help you with your day-to-day job, you will be obsolete.
Yeah.
Or you will be very slow compared to the rest of the people around you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I must have said this phrase about 3 or 4 times this season, but it's that old adage that AI won't take your job, but someone who knows how to use AI will.
Exactly. Yeah. So this is what really concerns me, is that most of the people, they don't go, especially in the construction industry, they don't learn about it because of the fear. And I'm like, no, forget about the fear. Just learn about it. Your day-to-day job will be way more smoother. You can focus on what really matters, not sending 50 emails, looking at 100 Excel sheet. You will focus on what really matters. Yeah. So I'm trying to do that inside my organization. We'll see.
Yeah. In terms of fear, how much of that fear is based, you think people have fear because they think the job's going to be replaced, and then how much of it do you think is fear that they put this technology on a pedestal and think there's no way in hell I'd be able to get my head around that, and they're reluctant to use it because they just think that they don't have the capacity or the proclivity to get their head around it?
I think there is a general misconception that AI is very complicated. Why? Because people think, oh my God, I need to learn to code. I need to learn to code a machine learning model. No. You will need to learn how to input a solution and look at the output. What is happening inside the solution is something that you will not need to do. So it's a combination of, it's very complex, because I think even in media or in general, even on LinkedIn, when you look at machine learning, like they expose you to this very complex model. But the reality is that for everyone that works every day in the office, you will use generative AI solution just to provide an input and get an output. That's it. So there is a combination of that, and there also a fear of losing your job over machine learning, artificial intelligence. But again, it's based on the fact that you don't know what this is about.
Yeah. They get their information from the likes of Terminator 2.
Yes, exactly. Like robotics is advanced, but not as advanced as we think.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. So just moving on then. So how does AI influence project costs and timelines, especially when it comes to risk management?
So it is becoming essential. If I've been involved in a couple of exercises. So if you have very good historical data, as a risk assessor, you will be able to use the historical data to assess how a project will potentially get delayed or run into overcost. And these kind of applications are used at the early stage of the projects to create some kind of safeguard. So you can get a buffer in terms of budget, or even you can relook at your program plan and see, okay, what do I need to do to change my way of working to ensure we are not going to run into years of delays or months of delays. So it's becoming, especially in the early stage of construction projects, is becoming essential for a risk assessor to have the ability to understand the what-if scenarios. So you can go to leadership when you need to lock a budget or lock a timeline, commit to a timeline with, okay, these are the risks. This is which are the risk mitigation based on actual data analysis. So historical data now is used a lot, especially for companies that have been in the industry for long. So you know more or less what can happen, and so you can predict over a new project.
Yeah, of course.
And have you seen any real measurable return and investment from AI deployment?
Not yet, because I'm involved in multiple pilots, but we haven't measured return on investment yet. Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, not in the construction industry. In other industry, they measure and they are doing great. Like some applications, especially when the customer facing application, they really are very valuable. Yeah.
Nice. So I was going to ask around the whole, is AI going to take my job? But I think we've covered that piece. So I guess I'll revert back to the question I asked you at the start when obviously you sort of came into the construction industry because it's such a fantastic opportunity, and AI was, I don't know if it at its infancy is the right phrase to use. How have you found that journey? Have you been disappointed with how quickly or slowly it's gone? Have you been excited and surprised at how quickly or slowly it's gone? Has there been any real sort of points where your enthusiasm's waned a little bit, or you've thought, wow, this is, or maybe I've bitten off a bit more than I can chew? Or
I've been a little disappointed because sometimes that you think there is a lot you can do, but then you end up with crappy data and you cannot do it. So even in a relatively mature organization, I found myself in a situation where we cannot do much because first we need to look at the data. So it has been, I was expecting more maturity in these regions, not because the construction companies are here for long, but because they generally introduce new technology quicker. Yeah. So to be more mature, but the reality is that they are not. They are in line with the construction industry worldwide. The difference is the budget, so they can invest. So we are starting very small. I was really hoping to start a little bigger, but we are starting small. We are going for very small pilots and see how things go. And I also I was expecting more less I'm surrounded by very skeptical people. So I spend most of my time trying to convince, trying to teach, trying to show the results. So yeah, we are not as open-minded as I thought.
Yeah. How is that journey going of dealing with skepticism and trying to convince people? It's all
about facts. We need to bring results. now we need to bring results. So they're waiting for the pilot to conclude and to see the results. Without the results, construction people are all about, okay, can we deliver this? If not, don't come to me. So we need to go back to them with the results and with the KPIs met, or even going above and beyond, and then they will get convinced. I'm spending some time teaching. I am guiding my team, to my specific team and my department to learn. I push it Donna to learn, because while it's a responsibility of organization to upskill their own people, for organization where they're not yet there, like even in my organization, we have been starting using artificial intelligence, but yet it's not a common activities across all the departments. I'm pushing my team to go out and start learning. There are so many resources that are free to start learning about artificial intelligence, machine learning application, what it is about, why it's so complicated. So at least when you go into conversation, you are better prepared.
Yeah, of course. I think it's very similar with risk management in that it's all based on, you can have the most talented people in the room, the best available software, even brilliant data to some instances, but if the people aren't bought in and the culture's not right, then it's sort of redundant. And I think it can be quite easy to go into somewhere, and I think the reason I was asking is because you can go into projects or organizations and think, God, so much room for value here, but when you get in, you might realize that maybe they don't want value, the amount of value you want, or they don't want value because of some misconception. So before you can start adding value, I guess you're still adding value, but before you can start adding tangible value, you've got to sort of break down some barriers and really go on a bit of a fact-finding mission, and the whatever thought you had in your head in 6 months, 12 months we're going to be flying, you might still only be the infancy, because there was a lot more cultural issues than you thought. But I guess the juice will be worth the squeeze in the end.
And once again, change management is the key.
Yeah, exactly.
And the why also is very important, because especially in the construction industry, where they're saying, well, we have been working fine for the last 100 years, why we need to change? Are we delivering better? Are we producing a better outcome, a better product? So the why is essential. So my recommendation for organizations that go for such kind of technology implementation is to really identify the why.
Of course.
Because without that, it's going to be tough. And then the data. Again, I am repetitive, the data.
So looking forward then, what future innovations in AI do you see making the biggest impact on construction risk assessment in, say, the next 5 to 10 years?
So I think in terms of health and safety related risk assessment, IoT is going to be the biggest disruption. Now, wearable IoT for construction workers is something really common in the region, where you can control, their blood pressure, heart rate while operating, and you also control how they move within the construction site. So you're able to identify which are the health-related risks, and almost in real time being able to respond to the kind of risk. So this kind of solution now are really they're common, at least in the region. And then when it comes to risk assessment evaluation, is going to be the AI technology that will ingest multiple sources of data and will be able to run scenarios in a matter of hours. So to allow risk manager to identify all the possible options, all the possible mitigations, and then when they go back to stakeholders, they have a very strong analysis of what's going on. And so this mitigation will be more targeted, more realistic. And if you add on top of that historical data, the analysis will really be tailored on how a specific construction company operates in terms of machinery, people, construction methods, and constraints. So that one is going to be a big differentiator. So this is why I'm saying risk managers should start learning about it, because the knowledge of such kind of solution will make them completely necessary for an organization, because you need to have that kind of capability. while whoever stays in the back and still looking at Excel sheet or just the program plan, reading a program plan, 2,000 line, he will not keep up. He or she will not keep up.
Yeah. Well, really important question, Chiara. If and when all these technologies prove all the skeptics wrong, are you going to say, I hate to told you so, but I told you so?
But the problem is the technology is already there. Technology is already there, is solid, to be honest. So it's just a matter of the technology needs to showcase the value, the return of investment. So this is why pilot needs to run. Some organizations are already using them. So it's time. The time is now. There is no time to waste. That's the reality. So this is why I recommend everybody to start looking at training material. You can go on Coursera or any other open training platform and start learning about it. So at least you're not scared, because being scared of something you don't know is something that I cannot accept from a professional, to be honest.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
And then finally then, so what's your message to construction professionals about embracing AI and risk assessment? How do you think they should approach?
Don't be scared. Learn about it. Learn about it. Yeah, really, honestly. It's, I think, one of the best time invested is to learn about it, because the next job you will need to be able to use it or even speak about it. So, and even though for the construction industry this kind of solution have become the solution for the everyday job very slowly. I see a lot of acceleration in 2025 because some of the solutions are now out of the shelf and are very easy to implement. So you don't need the kind of investment anymore because you don't need to customize. It's out of the shelf. You just buy a license and just ingest data. Yeah. So I recommend 2025, learn about it.
Yeah. Do you ever see a scenario where somebody educates themselves and still is skeptical?
Oh yeah, definitely. Because a lot of people don't believe it until they see it. Yeah. So you can learn about it, but until you see the results of it, it's just a vague word, but it's important. And few weeks ago, I was having coffee in our kitchenette, and someone came to me and was like, I don't believe in AI. And the reality is that we use AI every day already. Every time you unlock your phone with your facial recognition, that one is a computer vision solution. Every time you go on Netflix, and Netflix is recommending you something, is a recommendation system. Every time you are using a generative AI, is a large language model. So in the construction industry, I ended up meeting a lot of people telling me, I don't believe in AI, but you're using it every day. So it's not about anymore, you don't believe it, or it's easier. Just learn about it and use it.
Yeah, exactly. I think we said that in Matt's episode, where that time piece around trusting it, when like sat-nav TomTom, I don't know if they were called, if you had TomToms in it.
Yes.
But they would, when they first came out, no one really trusted them because they'd drive you to the middle of a field somewhere. And over the years, they've obviously got much, much better. And now, first thing you do when you're going anywhere is whack it the postcode.
Yeah.
And people follow it, well, not blindly, but they trust it implicitly. Whereas 20 years ago,
but the difference of AI is that most of the people use it and they don't know they're using it, because some solutions that are not being formally introduced. Every time you go on TikTok or Instagram, the algorithm that is behind it, that is analyzing your preferences, and it's bringing you the content that you will like, because they compare your time spent in the platform with similar users to you. I mean, no one is telling people we are using an artificial intelligence solution, but the reality is that they do. And so there is a big misconception because people, they don't really know, or they don't want to know. But we are getting profiled every time we are online. So
exactly. Fantastic. So final point then, Chiara, in keeping with risk-ologist tradition, what's a piece of advice that you'd give your younger self at the start of your career? It can be right at the very start or when you were first going into the construction industry. But yeah, fire away. What would that piece of advice be?
It would be, don't go for civil engineering, go for computer science. Yeah, no, so I would say to myself, learn about artificial intelligence earlier in your career, and to become an expert. Now I am an advocate, not really an expert, but yes, this is what I would say to myself.
Love that. And then lastly, if anybody wants to get hold of you about
you can connect with me on LinkedIn.
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, Chiara, again, I just wanted to say as well, and just acknowledge that how impressive it is that you've conducted an interview in not even your mother tongue. I have so much respect for people who are multilingual. I struggle with English, and particularly when you're being interviewed by someone from Glasgow and Manchester. So.
No, but your accent is great, really, and I'm lucky because I'm married to an American, so I do speak English every day.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah. Well, Chiara, honestly, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming along. Yeah, and yeah.
This was fun. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks, Chiara. Take care.
Bye. Bye-bye.
And that's it for this week. If you enjoyed this episode of Riskologists, be sure to follow Optimise and Riskologists on all of our social media channels, where you can subscribe to the podcast and be notified of every episode so you don't miss a thing.
Please like, share and leave reviews to help support us and increase our reach within the wider risk community.
And join us next time, where we'll be chatting with another leading figure in the world of risk.
Until then, thanks for listening and take it easy.